Gabriel Okeowo is the country director of Budget Foundation Nigeria, a civic organization that uses creative technology to simplify public information, stimulating a community of active citizens and enabling their rights to demand accountability, institutional reforms, efficient service delivery, and an equitable society. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as we welcome Gabriel Okeowo.
Good evening, everyone. All right, I'm glad to be here. Thank you to the organizers of this event. Thank you for having me here. My name is Gabriel Okeowo, as earlier introduced, and I was given a topic on improving governance with data. And then I refined that topic to have what you have here, data for activism. And the reason I did this is because governance from the pre-colonial era to colonial era to post-colonial era, the level of governance we have now comes with some level of activism. So when we look back to some of our great fathers in the land that fought for our independence, right? When we use the English of fought for independence, what actually happened in those periods was that they were actually what we call today activists, right? They know what they wanted, and they did everything that it requires to get us what we wanted. Now, from independence till now, we've experienced as a nation different forms of governance. We had the military regime, right, which was quite a lengthy period. And it looked as if that was going to be the best of it. Then, in between the long period of our military regimes in Nigeria, there were pockets of what looks like a democratic governance, which was not sustained. But the good thing is that since 1999 till date, we now boast of 25 years of unbroken democracy. Expectation is that for us to have achieved 25 years, we'll achieve 50 years, and then sooner or later we'll also be counting like 200 years, the way some other developed countries count these long years. And in a democratic governance, the good thing of a democratic governance is that everyone has a voice. Everyone has a voice. Democratic governance is a system of government that comes with design. It comes with a form of check and balances. So what happens when we see bad governance in a democratic setting usually is because of either of two things. Number one, the social contract that comes with a democratic setting, right? Where something is a contract. If I have a contract with you, sir, you are looking for your interest in that contract. I am also looking for my interest in that contract. And at any time, if either of us breach that contract and it looks as if you want to take advantage of me, I have the opportunity to say, no, I want to pull back. I'm not doing again, right? The same thing. And we do contract every day. Every day. You call a boat ride to pick you. It's a contract you are entering into. You call a plumber to come fix a broken pipe in your house. It's a contract you are entering into. And it is the same thing that happens when we go into election, when we elect leaders into power. We are actually going into a contract of us as a community, as a state, as a nation, to say all of us can sit in the National Assembly using a parliament, for example. All of us can sit at the National Assembly. This whole community of us, we want to come together, contribute our power together, and lease it out to you on contract to say, you go and represent us. Now, when we give you that power to go and represent us, you have entered into contract with us. And we expect that when you handle that power well, and when you are not handling it well, we can also call you back. Right? We can call you back. And what has created or accumulated into the bad governance, not too good governance that we have today is because in this contract of governance that involves two parties, one party has mastered the art of using its own power, while the other party has also been docile in not exercising his own power. And that is why over time, if you get a job and during interview, you were told that you are going to be paid 100,000 naira. And then at the end of the month, you were given an offer letter that has 100,000 naira monthly salary. And then at the end of the month, you were called to say, maybe you are not even called, but let's even say they were civil and you were called to say, oh, sorry, we won't be able to pay 100,000. We'll pay 80,000. And you say, no problem. You collected the 80,000 first month. Second month, they call you again to say, sorry, we won't pay 80,000. We'll pay you 60,000. You collected the 60,000. Third month, and then 20,000 keeps reducing. Any employer, particularly those that are capitalist in nature, will take advantage of it because it then looks as if you don't know your worth. Because if you know your worth, you'll be able to say, no, I'm sorry, that wasn't the contract. The contract is that I will be paid 100K. Is it 100K or I walk away? And then you will find instances where it is the organization that will call you back. So what we have today that have contributed into the level of governance we have is because one party is playing the card, the social contract card, higher than the other party. And I've come this evening to just open us, and I like this community, and I'm glad that I came, because we use every medium, every opportunity to see how can we empower more people with information, particularly a community like this. Because the interesting thing about a community is I can be sure that I'm not just talking to the people in this room this evening. I'm talking to people that will then replicate this message, step down this message to the community that they represent. So let's go to the next slide. Why should we use data for activism? Number one, to simplify and democratize access to government data, promoting transparency and accountability, empower citizens to participate in governance and hold public officials accountable. And let me also just mention, and I'm sure I will get to it in the course of my presentation, when we talk about data, we are not just talking about figures. Figure is a data, picture is a data, right? So information is a data, and we'll get to it. And maybe I should ask at this point, how many of us know budget as an organization? You've heard about budget before. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. How many of us have heard about tracker before? Fantastic. How many of us have heard about follow the money before? Fantastic, right? Because all of this platform, what we are doing, right? And if I begin to mention some activist name, right? Activists, human being, we will know their names. Now, not every one of us can be an activist that will stand at Unity or Fountain premises to lead a campaign. But almost all of us in the world that we live today can be an activist with data. We can use data to advocate for change in our community. Let's go to the next slide. So, understanding data for activism, what do we need to know? Number one, data activism is a social practice that uses technology and data. Now, underline technology and data because that is one thing that today, right, almost every one of us, right, that is in this room, almost all of us, will have technology at our disposal, we will have data at our disposal. If you have a phone that can access Facebook, you have technology. If you have a phone that can make WhatsApp call, that's technology you are holding. And if you can afford data to chat with your friend, you can also afford data to put out a message, an advocacy message. Number two is that data activism referred to the use of data as a tool for advocating social change, promoting transparency, and holding power structures accountable. One of the things I'm going to show us when I look at the tech products that we have in the public that you can take advantage of is a tool we created for primary healthcare service delivery, right? A lot of people, when they go to, if you go to hospital, many of us sitting here may be able to afford private hospital. And if you go to a particular private hospital and they give you a service that you do not like, right, there is high tendency that you will not go back there because you are paying your money. You go to another place where they can give you value for money. But what happened at the rural community is they are stuck. We have large population of our nation that do not have alternatives. Their only means to healthcare is the primary healthcare center provided by government. Their only means to clean water is that pipe-borne water drilled by the local government chairman or the senatorial representative. The school, their only hope for their children to go to school is that public school, government-owned public school in their community. Why many of us can live on the alternative? We go to private school, our children will go to private school. In our house, if there is no light, we can run generator. If there is no water, we drill our own borehole. We have overhead tanks. Those are alternatives, right? And that is not the ideal. The ideal is that we have a system that works. We have social services that is provided by government. One of the things we did, for example, a tool that we have out, is that we have a tool where when community go to a health center and they receive services, they can feedback. They can provide feedback. And later on, if I get there and time allows me, I will ask you to go on your phone and just test out some of these tools. They can feedback, and that feedback can get to the DG, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja here, transparently. Unlike the system that exists. The system that government creates is a paperwork system where a facility will write monthly reports to the local government. Local government will compile it to the state government. State will compile it to national. In the process of compiling and transcribing, right, the transparency is lost because there is no local government that will see a negative feedback, for example, coming from facility under him or her, and we want to pass it on. But with technology, there is a transparent process. You can register your feedback, and all of us within that chain of critical stakeholders can see it at the same time. Thirdly, is that data activism involves the collection. I just spoke about this. Collection, analysis, dissemination of data to support causes, raise awareness, and empower community. Let me use another example in this one. I think last year or 2 years ago, how many of us saw there was one video that trended online? I think it was is a guy in Edo State, somewhere in Edo State. He did a picture that he was using his bare hand to pull out a road that was constructed. How many of us saw that video? Right? Now, and we know what, I don't know if you know the end of that video. That video was someone, a community member, right? Like you and I sitting here. A road had just been constructed in their community. And he felt that road was poorly done. He picked his phone, went to the road, a tarred road. If you can use your hand to pull out a tarred road, it shows the poor, execution of that road. And then he was using his hand to pull it out. And that video went viral. And what happened is that the contractor ran into problem, right? Because it now became the attention of EFCC, of ICPC, of the agency, and then everybody began to run etaskata. That's the power of data. That video that guy did, that hand that he used in pulling out the constructed road to show that it was poorly done, that is data. So when we talk about data, we are not always talking about figures. We are talking about evidence. We are talking about anything that you can use to support your cause. Let's go to the next slide. The how data aid activism. Number one is, let me start from citizen mobilization. And that is the power of technology also. The beauty of technology is that it amplifies your cause, right? That video will not have any essence if it was not brought online, and if many of us didn't retweet, share, follow, and all of that. So technology, because when we are talking about activism, the beauty of activism is you are not fighting alone. Trust me. The difference between End SARS campaign and the End Bad Governance campaign that we did last, right, is the number of people that came out. So when you are advocating for anything, we need the critical mass. We need numbers. And technology can allow you to have that critical mass. Just by hashtagging, just by retweeting, just by following, just by commenting, it can go a long way in facilitating citizen mobilization. Then the next thing, of course, when you have your data or you have pictures, any evidence you have is already shedding light on issues that you have at hand. So it promotes transparency and accountability. That makes your advocacy concerted. So you now have an action in your hand that you want to advocate for. And I bet you, every one of us sitting here, coming from one community or the other, there is something that you can advocate for. It could even be in your office. It could be in your house. So, for example, I live in a community now where we are on Band A. You know what it means to be on Band A? How many people are on Band A here? We're on Band A. If you're on Band A, and we have been telling you to be an advocate, be an activist. You don't want to be an activist, but if you are the one buying electricity units, you'll be an activist. An activist of what? You'll be putting off lights by yourself because your Band A won't stop. It's running, right? So it makes your advocacy come together. And then lastly, which is what we want to see, is that it brings about institutional reforms. It brings about institutional reforms. Let's go to the next slide. So why does it matter? Why does it matter? Using data to improve governance. Why does it matter? Data provide evidence-based insights that drives impactful advocacy. Advocacy without data will be fluid, will not really make sense, right? If you want to advocate for a cleaner environment, environmental sanitation, one of the best way you can advocate for that is to take pictures of the refuse dump in the neighborhood, is to take pictures of drainage that is clogged and dirty. Is when you do that and you are able to show that, it makes your advocacy better. It also empowers citizens to make informed decisions and advocate for their rights. Lastly, data-driven activism is key in achieving systemic change. If you are conversant with our platform, for example, Budget, we released a video, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, where we are talking about a particular agency that is in charge of space and technology. Now, having projects in millions, almost billions, to supply bicycle, supply sensitization for against teenage pregnancy. And then you are asking yourself, and we brought that out because this is an agency that is meant to improve technology and our space management as a nation. Now going into sensitization campaign against teenage pregnancy. You want to see where is the evidence. But talking about that, we have written, it seems not to be getting attention. We just did a video. And today that video is still going viral. And that is the power of data. Let's look at what is the budget approach. Let's go to the next slide as I begin to round up. Now, this budget approach is also an approach that anybody can use, and it will work, right? Because for us also, anyone that wants to, be part of activism, data activism, all you need to do is go on our handles, either on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Send us an email. Send us a DM. There is someone at the other end. You need an information. There is something you are not clear about. Ask us. That is a mandate that we have as a community also, to supply that information so that you can use the information to engage, right? So how do we work? We simplify complex data for public consumption. Many of us today will not interact with the budget if not for the work of organizations like our organization and many other organizations. An average Nigerian budget, if I use the 2024 approved budget as an example, the 2024 approved budget is a 2,948 pages document. If I give you that document, you won't read it, right? But what we will do is to crunch all of that 2,000, almost 3,000 page document into like a 20-page document that makes it easy for you to relate with. Then we use visualization to tell compelling story. One of the easiest way to read things is when it is visually appealing. You see this. It's easier for you to read this thing that I'm showing you because this is a visual representation than if I have 10 lines or 20 lines of text in this place. Lastly is we create tools that facilitate citizen engagement and government accountability. And I will just stay on those tools to round up because it is with this community that we have, we can use, let's go to the next 2 slides. With this community that we have, your understanding of the civic tech tool that we have produced, they are for public consumption, they are open source, they are for public use, they are for public good, will help us to be able to improve governance in our different areas. The first is Tracker Mobile. This is available on Play Store, right? You go to Play Store, you download this app. This app will, if you download and you put your detail, your local government, your state, it will automatically streamline projects that is happening around your community. It will show you that. But one of the advantage of this tool is that there is a need assessment button somewhere there where we now allow citizens to submit a need assessment. And when you submit a need assessment, we collate it at the back end and we send it to the respective representative to know the need of their community. Next one, I'm moving fast now. The next is Tracker website, right? If you do not want to download app on your phone, you just want to visit a web page and leave the web page, you can go to tracker.ng. The same thing that is happening on the app, you'll also be able to do here. Next. The next is GovSpend. Now, this is a change maker. This is a change maker because if you are in your community and you see a public project going on in your community, whether it's being done well, it's not being done well, or you are interested in knowing about that public project, come here. Go to govspend.ng. When you go there, just ensure that you see the name of the project or the name of the contractor. Usually there is a signboard. Just get any keyword. Come to this govspend.ng and search, and you will be able to see the detail of that project. How much is the project? How much has been released? When was it released? What date it was released? And then you can then do evaluation of how much has been released versus what you are seeing on ground. And by so doing, community, when it is not matching it, we can then come together to engage with the contractor, right? A lot of projects fail in Nigeria because contractor comes to site, implement the project and leave the community. It is our responsibility to approach the contractor, ask the contractor question and be part of what the contractor is doing. The next one is the PHC tracker, which I mentioned earlier on. That is Primary Healthcare Center tracker, right? With this one, if you go to phctracker.org, and where we are piloting this in 5 states currently, so you may not see your states if you are not in the 5 states, Kano, Kaduna, Niger, Gombe, and Yobe State, right? But the beauty of this is when it is finally scaled up to all the country, you can go in there, go to your state, you can look for that primary healthcare center in your community, or that you have interest, you want to, you have a concern over, you want to, advocate for a change on it, you will go in there and you can make your report. Let's see, is there any last one? Openstate.ng. Many of us belong to states. We come from states. So all advocacy will not always be to the federal government. Openstate.ng is a one-stop center where you can have access to all fiscal data of all the 36 states in Nigeria. You need the budget of Jigawa State, come to openstate.ng. You need the budget of Lagos State government as far back as 5 years ago, come to openstate.ng. Most of government websites Those documents can be there today and you go there tomorrow, you can't find it there. We have created this portal as a repository. So this portal, every time any document that relates to fiscal governance is hosted on any government website in Nigeria, this portal goes in there, take that document and keep it here. So even if it is no longer on the government portal, you can always find it here. Do I have any last slide? Meet.your-budget. This is a personalized platform. I encourage you, if you won't do anyone, you should do this. If you go to meet.yourbudget.org, you'll be able to register, sign up, and when you sign up for this one, now this is the new baby in town, the local government's autonomy. Every month, when there is a disbursement to your local government, you will get an alert. You will get an alert by email to tell you that your local government has just received this amount. Now it is now left for you. You know that your local government has just received 2 billion naira or they have just received 800 million naira. What do you do with that? It helps your advocacy. If you want to advocate, you are now advocating from the area of strength. Dear sir, we know that you got this amount this month. We are not sure if our community need is part of your need in the next 2 months. However, we are advocating that maybe in the next 2-3 months, allocation that will come, if you can help us prioritize our inner streets road that is broken. You are coming from the area of strength, and I think this should be the last one. State of states. This is a research work, right? That x-ray the fiscal situation of all the 30 states in Nigeria. Endeavor to visit it. This is dashboard, right? This is on our website. You can go on our website and you'll be able to interact with the dashboard, particularly if you are interested in sectoral analysis. You want to know how much is going to education, Ministry of Education, not just Ministry of Education. There is a federal government college in your community. You want to know how much has gone into that federal government college. Come to the dashboard. You will be able to see the information there. Where do you see data activism in 10 years? Let's see. What was the response? Well, we'll continue to do what we are doing. And we believe that with the concerted efforts of all of us, movements like this, community like this, activism will go beyond the streets to online and we'll be able to, effect change that we desire in our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an insightful session. We have 5 minutes to quickly ask our questions.
I want to ask if you have any plans or structures and systems in place to actually force those officials to show all the transparency out there on the apps. And then secondly, would you like to share any info on the ongoing Kano to Abuja Standard Gauge Rail project? Because it's very slow.
Okay, so my question is, you've actually given us so many tools to work with to hold leaders accountable. So my question now is, after probably using the tools now to write to them and all those stuff, and yet they did not do anything still, they did not change. Is there any other thing we can do? Because one thing I found out is that most of the time, it looks like there's nobody you want to go and just complain to. You just talk to them and they tell you, okay, we have had you, and that's the end. So you come back again and ask, and it continues like that. So is there any system of really holding them accountable aside maybe just writing and going and meeting them, something like that?
Thank you. I think two questions look similar. What else can we do if we do all of this and there's still no change, right? The question is, there is no how we are doing all of this and there is no change. It's just that change is not happening at the rate that we want it to happen. But every voice, the more we do all of these things that I mentioned, the more we are going to be shrinking the space for them to, right, to be able to perpetrate. See, it's a game. When we are playing chess game, you are looking at my moves to calculate your own next move. For as long as I can outsmart you, and you are also looking for another move, we'll keep checkmating ourselves till there is a winner. And we have strength. the masses are more than the people in government. What is happening is because most of the people in government, we have made them so powerful than us. And we have had these stances. See, the solution, the clear answer I should have given you is that if there is no change, we recall them. There is a clause in our constitution and in our electoral process that you can recall. You can recall. And it has happened before, but it didn't happen by the hand of masses. It is only politicians too that record themselves with their power. It has happened, I think, in Kogi State, should be the last one, where a senator, a serving senator, the community came together, signed a petition, and the petition was strong enough, and then INEC withdraw. We actually have that power, but it requires somebody to spearhead it. That's the extreme, right? If there is no change. And then you spoke about the Kano Abuja project. I don't have the details here, but if it's a project that is ongoing, I can promise you that the details will be on govspend.ng. Go on govspend.ng and search for that project. You will be able to know first how much has been allocated, because sometimes we see these projects, sometimes contractors have not been mobilized, and we are just anticipating that we see a lot of work. But if we know how much has been allocated and has been disbursed, it then helps us to be able to ask questions, because we now have understanding that you have money, you have fund. What has it gone into?
Thank you very much, sir. Let's put our hands together for him.